Boom. Welcome to the 10th episode of the UnCut Theory Podcast. I hope everyone is doing great. It's kind of unbelievable thinking about it, but I'm saying this for the fourth time at this point. But
Yeah.
I cannot believe the fact that this is literally like the 10th episode of the podcast. It's kind of unbelievable in some sense if you sort of like think about it.
Yep. I think like at this point, he doesn't even care. It's just a running joke on this, between us. It's just a running joke that every episode is like somewhat unbelievable, and to some degree it is. But he's just being sarcastic. Like, ignore him.
Yeah. I think things have been flipped for this episode. I'm not wearing a cap, but you seems to be wearing one.
Yeah, like I wear caps every day, especially when I'm going to college, because the sun doesn't forgive, and that's just like that's where I will put it. Like I don't. It's literally so hot outside that I'll probably get sunburns, and in September's, which is kind of unheard of, if you know what I mean. Sunburns in September.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, September's and August were like my favorite months. You wanna know why? Because because it was like after monsoon, or like monsoon has just ended and winter is setting in. Everywhere is windy, every place is chilled. There is no unnecessary heat waves going around, and now climate change is like, okay, you only have two options now: extreme heat, extreme cold. That's it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Just go ahead and keep talking. I just want to like check if the video source is recording. Just a second. Just keep talking.
Sure, go on.
My headphones plugged in. I'm still listening. Just go ahead. Keep talking.
Yeah. So what I was just like mentioning is that I don't know if it's like a FOMO in my head. We have discussed this specific topic, like I think almost 2 times, 3 times, something like that, regarding seasons and climate change and stuff. And
I think in the initial episodes we talked about monsoon and stuff, and how monsoon is sort of like our favorite.
I am convinced that seasons are not what they used to be, basically.
For sure. I mean, global warming is a huge thing. Like just a few days ago, I think it was Wednesday's exam when we were going to college. Me and our common friend, who we both know, we were talking about it. Like, it's kind of crazy thinking about it. It's September 11th, 10th. What date is it? I don't even know. Like, it's a Sunday by the time we're filming this.
Yeah, it's 11th.
September 11th. Like, it's just so hot. Even though it's September. Like, it never used to happen when we were kids. Like, it's kind of crazy thinking about it in some sense.
Yeah, we will like back then again. Like, I remember again when we were like in like second grade, first grade. Like, I don't know, it was our science textbook or like a geography textbook or like civics. Or like, we used to call it EVS back in those days. Like
environmental
studies, something like that. And they used to teach us about seasons. Like, from this time to this time is spring. Again, spring was a thing back then.
Yeah.
I think spring was one of the first seasons that kind of phased out in India, specifically Delhi. I don't know if
there's
there
no
is
spring.
There is no spring.
There's transition for 15 days and it's just peak summer.
Yup, that's it. That's pretty much it. Spring used to be a thing when, like, you would literally like you could tell spring was here. Why? Because there were so many butterflies back when I was a kid. So many butterflies.
It's sort of like not just about butterflies and stuff. It was like the whole essence. Like, in winters, you're wearing like 3 layers sweater on top of jacket. And in winters, you're somewhat like this, in like this t-shirt kind of situation. But in that particular phase, you would be wearing like full sleeve shirt. It would still be windy. It would still be a little cold.
Yeah, like.
But like, it's just a constant switch.
Yeah, like.
Boom.
Like, if, again, like, everybody knows there is spring, there is summer, there is autumn, and then there's winter. Again, autumn wasn't autumn was very small back in those days, I would say. Autumn was a very small bit. Again, what do you associate with autumn? Basically, leaves falling. That's it.
Yeah.
And that there used to be a specific period when like you would see a lot of trees shedding a lot of leaves. Again, like autumn isn't like too long in India. I would say like maximum 2 weeks. Yeah, again, now it's all phased out. Now again, like I was just thinking about this like a while ago. Again, like the books are same, the syllabus is same. If a kid in these days reads the book and goes, "Oh, there is a spring and there is an autumn. Why haven't I seen these?" Like he would just think it's propaganda. Like they're telling me lies. Basically, it's just that bad.
Yeah.
There is no summer. Again, like there is no summer. Again, there is everything is summer or everything is winter. That's it. It's a coin flip. It's either this side or that side, and that's it. Yeah. There is no transition period. Even if there's a transition period, the transition period itself is very harsh. Like again, you can say spring is technically a transition between summer and winter, but again, like a lot of other things are also associated with spring. Mild climate. Again, spring I would consider like how they show in books and stuff is probably the best season technically. Again, not my personal favorite, but like they show it like spring is very good and stuff. But again, like if you are a kid,
I'm not even sure. Like it's just such a weird situation.
If you're a kid reading this and you see all this stuff like, oh, there's a spring, there's like monsoon and stuff that happens this time. Like you remember there was an entire chapter in our geography class on how monsoon happens in India.
Yeah, I do remember.
Yeah, like there is like in somewhere it like I remember it was like so it starts again like I don't know the nitty-gritty details, but it starts somewhere in like the South American peninsula, and the winds carry carry all the moisture and stuff to India, and down the line they collect more moisture to like the Atlantic and the Indian Ocean, stuff like that, and that's how we get monsoon in India. And now thinking back, I think it's all bullshit because it doesn't even hold up. Like you would think a geographical event should be like a constant for a person's entire life.
I think that's sort of like the whole purpose of geography. Geography just kind of like keeps
again like if they teach you something in geography, oh this was like the supercontinent back in like the ancient period, and now the current topography of Earth is like this. You don't expect that thing to change. Okay, that's basically geography. Geography is the study of Earth, unchanging Earth, and like mapping out what happens on Earth.
Yeah.
And you don't expect to like have such rapid changes in like geographical events, because monsoon in India is basically a geographical event. Yeah.
For sure. 100%. The fact that you mentioned like imagine today's kid kind of like looking back on those 20-30-year-old textbooks and thinking that
I think what do you think? Like if they're teaching like a second grader or a third grader what seasons are, what they are not gonna mention summer, spring and autumn, they won't mention them. What do you think?
Of course they would, but this sort of like started this weird thought process, this idea that I thought about, like, you know, about 2 months ago I was going through this article which talked about how people go crazy. And most people don't really understand mathematics and like related to global warming and stuff, because after the world wars back in the 60s, people sort of like had predicted that, you know, all the ice would melt in the next 10 years. Back in the 90s, people thought that the whole ozone layer would vanish in the next 10, 15, 20 years.
I think
water would
again,
just
like
go away.
I think it was more.
But none of that stuff actually happened.
Again, like I would.
Yeah.
Again. I would associate that with fear mongering. That's it. Like fear mongering.
Exactly.
Especially again, fear mongering exists everywhere. Like, but most of the case studies about fear mongering and stuff is, of course, written in the US.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Again, like there is the only one that I like remember on the top of my head is regarding D&D and stuff, D&D and fantasies and stuff. So I don't know about you. Do you know who C.W. Lewis is?
I think I've heard his
Yeah,
name.
the guy, I think that's the guy that wrote Narnia, if I'm not wrong.
Oh,
The Chronicles of Narnia. So him and J.R.R. Tolkien. Of course, I'm pretty sure you know Tolkien, who Tolkien is.
Yeah.
Like he wrote the entire of the Lord of the Rings series, and he's not even generally, he is like widely considered the godfather of fantasy fiction, basically.
Then who was R.R. Martin? George R.R. Martin.
George R.R. Martin is Game of Thrones and Elden Ring.
Oh, Game of Thrones. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Again, like you can confuse their names, but like
exactly.
J.R.R. Martin, you can say
That's
J.R.R.
what
Martin
first popped up in my head.
Yeah, again, you can say J.R.R. Martin is like technically the modern day Tolkien. But again, like Tolkien was such a juggernaut in like world building and stuff. Like he created so many races and stuff. You know elves, you know orcs, you know dwarves.
Yeah.
These weren't something that was known to human, like people, like it was like folktale and stuff. No, he created this stuff, and now it's basically staple.
Exactly, and that's I think the same stuff with George R.R. Martin, like the whole hero's journey plot. You know, you are the prince, you have to kind of like rescue the princess from the dragon, you have to fight with those knights. That whole plot, that entire genre of fantasy fiction, like he created that.
Yeah, I think technically the modern fiction is like defined by like him. But like getting back to my point, again, like RPGs and stuff, like like everything fantasy related is associated with like again Tolkien and stuff. That includes and especially D&D. You know what D&D is? Dungeons and Dragons. It's basically the role-playing game, if you know. Tabletop role-playing game, basically. So back in, I would say in the 60s or 70s. Let me just confirm.
Okay, you may
D&D.
Just make a quick Google search.
D&D scare. Yeah, so 1979
really
so 1979 to 1989. That's what I'm reading. Yeah, like again, like D&D had a bad rep amongst like in USA, especially amongst Christian parents who were very religious, because like how should I put this? Like every pastor or like priest in like their own church would give sermons, and then in their sermons they would say stuff like D&D is D&D is basically the product of Satan and stuff like that, and like it has dark powers, it will manipulate you, it will corrupt your child.
Dude.
And I shit you not, a lot of sermons basically said like J.R.R. Tolkien and like C.W. Lewis's stuff should be burned, basically.
Dude.
And basically that's how like the scare of like fantasy and that kind of happened. Like it was like one of the biggest conspiracies regarding D&D and stuff. Like because again, like this is basically fear mongering. I don't think playing a session of D&D with your friend is gonna like convert you to like Satanism or something like that.
First of all, we don't even know if that stuff exists. It's
again, like the
stories
again,
in that sense
I know.
too. Yeah.
Again, like I know, like the basis of all this is that only God can do, in like Christianity and stuff, like only God can do miracles, and basically magic is technically considered a miracle. So only God and like his children's are like everything, like basically supervised by God can only be a miracle, like in that sense.
Yeah.
And like everything else,
sure.
if that happens, is kind of heretical and stuff like that. So that's where that's where their basis is. And like again, like it's technically not wrong if you want to say like again, like magic is fraud and stuff, but again that's upon you. Like nobody technically believes in magic, technically. But again,
in their sane mind, they don't. But there's also a lot of people
again,
who
like
sort of like involved in cults and stuff who do believe in that kind of shit.
Again, but doing that to like scare people and stuff, that's I feel is like morally and ethically wrong. Yeah. Again, it's the same with like you, again, like I think you also know about the Red Scare. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, the Red Scare is basically the fear of communism or like Russia in general in America and stuff, like during the Cold War and even after it. basically after the world, after like the Second World War, there was like this huge rise in like the fear of communism in like in America. Like if you look at the propaganda pamphlet in those days, like you would see it literally like there's a map of America with their like the different states and different districts, and a lot of them were highlighted by red, say basically indicating like the majority of population in these districts believe in communism. And there was like this huge catch line on the pamphlet that said everybody could be a communist, even your neighbor. And like they're talking about communism as if it's like, oh, if you're a communist, you are literally an alien that's like here to like abduct the earth and like abduct people in their mothership and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or like you're basically like a serial killer, basically. Like if you're a communist, you're a serial killer.
Or
Again, like it makes you think. Again, like I don't support communism. It's pretty dumb in my eyes. But again, like if somebody chooses to follow that, I am not gonna go and report them to the police. Like that's where it's at.
Obviously,
again, if they believe in a philosophy,
it's kind of stupid doing that.
Again, like if they believe in a philosophy that's directly related to someone harming people, let's just say harming people, discriminating people, or stuff like the KKK. I'm pretty sure you know about the
I'm not even sure if you're allowed.
No,
I'm not even sure if you're allowed to say it on YouTube.
No, you can.
Okay.
Again, like you mention them, but you don't discuss them.
Exactly. And you kind of like went a little extreme. I was talking about like
again, like if I'm living in the United States of America, I go outside my house, I see my neighbor and he's wearing that white dunce cap with 2 holes in them, or like a white dunce cap and a white robe. First of all, I would run back in my home and lock my doors. First thing. Second thing, I'll call the fucking police.
I would call the
call the fucking cops.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Another thing, tying it all back, and like it's a bit interesting. Again, like KKK is technically a cult. It's a cult. It's a cult, basically.
For sure.
And you know what titles they use for like their basically
Not
their hierarchy.
Interested.
It's like dungeon master and like grand wizard and stuff like that. Basically, they are just playing a D&D session.
Wow.
Like they have,
I don't even know how.
Again, the titles
kind of, like, put it. It's
they
just
are
so
like
stupid.
their titles is so stupid. Like it's basically like they're like playing some sort of like Grand Magi, Grand Monk, Grand Sentinel, Nighthawks. Like they're basically playing it like a D&D game.
I always used to sort of like wonder as a kid, like where all of this motivation is just coming from.
Again, like you have so much hatred for like a specific group of people for no apparent reason, and that you go out of your way to seek like-minded peoples and form a group. And like again, if YouTube is watching, like we don't condone this shit. If anything, we like to see these people behind the bars.
Oh, for sure, without a doubt. Especially if their acts are harmful to anybody or any race.
Believe me, they are beyond harmful.
Absolutely. You kind of like went a little extreme with the KKK example. I was talking
like
let's imagine
like
you have this.
Again, like
let's.
Again, like this is another thing. Like again, yes, we can play it on the safe side and never mention them. But like again, like not talking about just us, like talking about media in general. Again, if you don't discuss these stuff, like one of the like the biggest gripes I have with like YouTube and like the entire Western media is they don't mention the guy with the mustache a lot.
Oh,
like they mention it very frequently.
Sure.
Again, like I don't want this guy to basically be erased from history. You wanna know why? Because I want future generations to know like this evil person existed, and we don't want to repeat this mistake, basically.
But just sort of like think about one of the things that I've been sort of like thinking about for the past 6 months or so. Not every day, but like seldom, just here and there a little bit.
Yep.
You know what was the premise of the Cold War since we started the conversation of the Cold War?
Something pretty dumb related nuclear weapons.
That's along the lines.
That's a part
the
of
hatred
it.
was, but the hatred was kind of like against communism and stuff. You know exactly what I'm saying. After the World Wars,
I think communism wasn't necessarily a part of it. It was deliberately made a part of it. But again, if I'm a politician in the US and I need to rally my people against something, like I need to unite them for a common cause, and like I have a power of propaganda, like you know where I'm going with this stuff, and
I know.
Yeah, again, like I think it's more easier to rally people against a single cause, because if they rallied people against nuclear weapons, US themselves has a lot of nuclear weapons. If you say if you went to the people and said nuclear weapons are bad, these guys have nuclear weapons and they're gonna destroy the earth, some guy in the crowd or like some journalist would go, but sir, don't we have nuclear weapons as well? So you can rally people behind like that. Again, but you can choose something arbitrary like communism, like an ideology, like these people, like they are basically devil on earth, and like and they are like destroying the earth with their red.
If you sort of like look back on what the US did, if you sort of like reflect back on the history, they kind of like wiped every nation which didn't really agree with their ideology, which didn't quote unquote agree with capitalism.
It's called like American imperialism, and it's definitely definitely a thing.
Yeah, for sure. But the thing that I find really absurd is the fact that ever since like 2014-15, the rise of socialism you sort of like can see in the US Western media again. And don't you think for the people, let's say, who are in their 70s, 80s, 60s, I don't know how old they would be.
Yeah, they don't care.
The guys who... No. Think about it for a second.
Okay, those guys... Are you mentioning the politicians or like normal citizens who are that age?
I'm talking about the proper military. The guys who participated in military back in the day.
Again, I would say in the US, again, like the high-ranking officials are probably that age, but they most likely retire at that age. Like...
Yeah, I get it. I understand it. But think about from the perspective of old people. Back in the day when they, in like the prime youth, they fought against, this idea which was portrayed in the Cold War.
Yeah.
But now they see this rise of socialism again. Isn't that like absurd to them? Isn't that like completely weird to them? Because they fight against that idea.
Again, I'm assuming, like, again, almost like there was like not a study done, like it was basically like a stat that World War II veterans are almost everybody is like passed away and stuff. Almost every World War II veteran, like there are only like a handful remain. So basically, when they pass, it's basically gonna be a new generation, because these people know, and like again, the people that are alive to tell stories about world wars and Vietnam War and stuff like that, these people are old, and if you take their age into consideration, they were most likely than not our age when they went to war.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
And again, you know how turbulent teenagers are in their ideologies and stuff. Like 5 years down the line, my goals were entirely different. My ideology was entirely different. What I choose to believe in was entirely different. And again, you are extremely impressionable at those ages. And if you get recruited in something as extreme as like the army at that age, when you don't know what you want to do with life, again, like, I'm not talking about like the dangers of like the risk you are taking when you are going to basically enlisting in the army. That's not just the thing. You are extremely impressionable, and again, like, the army and the military is extremely disciplined. Discipline is one of their like core foundations. Like, you cannot expect like a military incursion of like, even if you like defending, you cannot expect like a winning scenario if your troops are not disciplined. That's like their core ideologies in like the military and stuff. Like, I know a lot of people in like from like not like just like family and stuff. Like I've met people like who enlisted in the army when they were young, and now they're either retired or like they're in a very high position. And even to this day, even though they have retired, they have not left that disciplined life.
Yeah.
They still wake up at the same time, they still do all their morning routines, and not just them, like everybody in their entire family who is not necessarily in the army or like they are like not in the armed forces.
Yeah.
Even they are impacted by the people who have enlisted in the army, and discipline seeps through everybody in that family. And again, like
For
it's
sure.
again that's one of the good things about the let's just say the armed forces and stuff. Like it gives you a disciplined life, but that's not what I'm getting at. The thing that I'm getting at is when you are that impressionable, you don't get to reflect on stuff or like why I'm here. Again, let's just say you are like in your flamboyant youth and stuff, you are very like, there was a specific movie made about this, I don't remember. Like basically what happens to people who enlist in the army when they are like our age.
Go ahead.
Again, like you could be like high and mighty and stuff, like, oh, I'm gonna defeat all my enemies, like I'm gonna like I'm gonna earn like a lot of medals, I'm gonna become like a war veteran and stuff like that. You could have those ideologies, but the movement, like specifically talking about World War II, because the movie that I mentioned was from World War II. In that movie, like a group of friends enlisted in the army, and all of them were like this is gonna be a hero's journey, we are gonna become like a nation's heroes and stuff. And by the end of the movie, everybody died basically, and they lived horrible lives. Everybody was in shell shocked, or back in those days they call it shell shocked. Nowadays we just call it PTSD. Like you talk to any veteran who has survived World War II, he definitely has some sort of like, not necessarily mental issues, but at least something that haunts him or her.
For sure. Yeah. Also. Yeah. Exactly.
Again,
I know about that.
Again, like especially when you are that impressionable, like you are not like a hardened veteran. You don't know how like shit goes down. Like again.
Yeah.
Similarly, taking the example of the movie that I mentioned, like they were all high and mighty, but during the trench war and stuff, one of their friends got shot, and and like everybody there was like, oh no, like all the fantasies they had about like winning the war, or like winning this like prestigious war and becoming war heroes and stuff, everything like popped in that second.
Yeah, for sure.
So like people don't understand. Again, I would say like the most of the people that have survived the let's just say the war ordeal and stuff, especially World War II and Vietnam War and stuff like that, like these people enlisted in the army when they are super young, and after that they went through a lot of shit. Regardless of what post you were on, you went through a lot of shit, and that changed you for good. Not necessarily in a good way, but most likely in a bad way. And I don't think any veteran and stuff that lives to this day remembers the war fondly. And coming back to your question, which was basically, do they think it's absurd that we were like fighting communism and stuff, and now socialism is on the rise? I think most likely they're not. I don't think they care, because when they enlisted in the army, they were most likely very young. They were following basically some commanders or like some captain's orders. Maybe they enlisted in the army in the hopes that we are gonna fight communism and stuff. But as soon as they entered like the nitty and like the battlefield, like that sort of ideology doesn't hold up. It's not enough to persevere through war.
Yeah.
Like
basically.
So again, I don't think they necessarily think like, oh, we fought against socialism. No, to them it was like, oh, it was basically like do or die situation. They don't.
Absolutely.
I think most of them won't think that, oh, like socialism was on the rise, and we were fighting socialism. They don't think they were fighting socialism. They were basically like, we were just fighting enemies and surviving for our life.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Especially like back in those days. Now I cannot say like considering like the Afghanistan war and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. That's sort of like absurd to me. You said the fact that when they came back,
again, like, just think about it. If you're going to war on the ideology that you're gonna fight communism, just how it's that, what is your game plan in your mind? Again, like, I will most likely chalk it up to like somebody who doesn't know what they want to do in life, and like they enlisted in the army because it was the craze, or like their friends were enlisting, which happened in the story that I was mentioning. Like, one or two of the friends didn't want to.
Don't you think this idea of fighting and becoming a hero is itself a fantasy?
Again, it's not easy. Like, if you look at stories, even if you look at like stories where like the heroes were successful, they went through a lot of shit.
Exactly.
Any story, any story.
Absolutely. Exactly.
Yeah, like, being the hero is like not easy. That's basically, again, you don't want to be the main protagonist. I think you made a video about this.
Yeah,
you made a short,
why being like the main character. Yeah,
why you don't want to be the main character, and this is a specific reason, because the main character is the conflict. Basically, is always in a conflict of interest. Basically, he's always fighting for something, and you don't necessarily want to be like a hero in every situation.
Yeah,
because more often than not, maybe the hero wins if it's an epic story, or maybe the hero fails if it's a tragic story. But again, regardless, the hero is gonna go through a lot of hardship, not of unnecessary hardship. So you don't want to be a hero in your life.
Also, another problem with being a hero is that when you look at the movie, you know that the hero is going to win. Basically, that's what happens.
Again,
but let's say
again, like, even if you look at like some newspapers, like, again, I would say heroes are not born out of their own will. Heroes are born out of circumstances.
I get it, but what I'm trying to say is completely different. What I'm trying to say here is, I'm talking about the fantasy of becoming a hero and why the youth has this craze, especially young men. Think about it for a second. When you're watching a movie or a TV series or whatever that is, you look at the hero and he's doing a bunch of crazy shit, and you sort of like justify yourself that doing all of those things are just okay. Just because he is the hero and you sort of like know the ending a little bit and you know he's going to win.
Again,
but let's suppose the director, the writer of the story, is the guy from Attack of Titans or just Araki for context. Then you know, then the whole paradigm shifts.
Spoiler alert.
Then you know.
Again, spoiler alert for Attack on Titans.
Yeah. Then, you know, a lot of people can die. So, you know, your entire thinking process kind of like shifts.
Again,
but when you know that the hero is going to win, you sort of like justify every single act that he's a part of. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's sort of like where it gets weird and this whole thing becomes a fantasy.
Again, that's, I would say, like, basically, you can, like, if you know who the hero is, you subconsciously excuse every bad thing they do.
Absolutely.
Again, like, that's a big thing. And like, again, like, even if I'm talking about like real stories and stuff, because again, if they did like some bad stuff in like real life, they are most likely than not they will be punished or they will be persecuted. But talking about even in like real life, let's just say, this war hero returns from, I'm taking a random example, no specific country, no specific war. This random war hero was stranded, or basically, let's just say he was caught behind the enemy lines, and he somehow escaped from the prison alive, and now he's a hero. He's getting all these medals and stuff. You only, again, like in any scenario, you only know half the story. You don't know what's going behind. And like, I would say, like, again, another spoiler for, let's just say, Metal Gear Solid 3. Metal Gear Solid 3 is it's a very interesting game. So basically, again, you're never gonna play it. I know you're never gonna play it. I would just summarize the story.
Okay.
It's set in like the Cold War era. Again, it's like alternative history, let's just say. Alternate universe, similar to ours. Not much difference, but still. So basically, there is this like super soldier, and his name is Big. His nickname is Snake. He never mentioned his real name. His nickname is Snake. So basically,
Okay.
he is being sent again. Like the intel has come that a very specialized division of the KGB is trying to develop a weapon that's even more deadlier than a nuclear weapon. And our hero Snake is being sent to this facility to basically steal their plan and destroy this new weapon.
Okay.
He goes, and he's again like it's like a tactical espionage game. So basically, it's the stealth-oriented game. Basically, it's the godfather of stealth. Every stealth game that you know, Assassin's Creed, Splinter Cell, etc., etc., it's based on these games. These games are the godfather. I think you pretty much know about the name Hideo Kojima.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the director. He's the director. He is the director of this game, and I would consider Metal Gear Solid 3 his best work. And basically, he discovers the let's just say the plans. But what happens is, as soon as he's like taking his exit, his teacher, her name is Boss. His teacher, her name is, she's basically like her mother, He finds out that his mother has defected to the Russians.
Oh.
Basically, like again, he never says he's her mother. Basically, she raised him. Let's just say she raised him and taught him everything he knew. And she betrays him. He is distraught, and he is almost captured, but he survives somehow. And again, he is but the US is adamant that no, we need to like destroy this weapon. So they send him back to Russia to basically rescue this scientist who is basically held against his will, and to make this weapon. And basically the weapon's name, and basically the weapon's name is Metal Gear. It's basically just a huge tank. Let's just say a huge tank that can use nuclear weapons. Let's just say. And basically he discovers the plan for the Metal Gear. He helps the scientist, and during this time, he is working with another female agent. Because let's just say who is like basically snitch. Let's just say she's a snitch. She is like providing information to the US, but I think she belongs to Russia. So basically, and he kind of falls in love with her. Snake basically kind of falls in love with her, and down the line, he kills all the baddies and stuff like that. But then the final battle is between him and the boss, basically her adopted mother, let's just say. And just before she is about to kill him, she explains why she defected. She didn't defected to the Russians because she hated the US. She defected because it was necessary. Because she knew if Snake went to this mission, it's basically a suicide mission. Nobody is getting information out of the Russians. Let's just say. She had to defect, earn their trust, and in the final moments, she again, like, I am mixing plots here. It's not a one-to-one story because even I don't understand the story fully, and I still need to play the game again because it has been a long time. And let's just say she basically defected to the Russians so that Snake could succeed in his mission.
I get it.
And like in the end, Snake discovers this. She basically tells Snake this, and Snake has to basically kill her because technically she's a traitor. But Snake knows. Snake is the only person that knows what's her real sacrifice. And when Snake comes back, Snake comes back home, he is like applauded as a hero. And like he meets the president gives him a medal, and like The president gives him a new nickname. He gives him a new nickname because he defeated the boss. Now his nickname is Big Boss. That's basically his name. And in the final moments, let's just say in the meeting, the president goes ahead to shake his hand, but Snake is so distraught because again, people would only remember him. They won't remember the sacrifice boss did for everybody, and everybody despises her.
For sure.
And basically he has to carry on her legacy, knowing full well that she is the one that basically basically made her life successful and basically enabled him to win this mission. And in the last, let's just say the last moments, the president goes ahead to shake his hand. He didn't shake his hand, he just saluted him. And that was such a powerful moment in the game because he refused to shake hands with the president, he just saluted him.
You get it.
And after that, he take like emotional music plays in the background, and like he goes to like a boss's grave, and basically he type of like not monologues. He just thinks about like nobody, only I would know what sacrifice she did, and everybody thinks she is a traitor.
Yeah.
People hail him as a hero. He is basically the best soldier in the world, technically, by this standpoint. But people don't know the sacrifice that took to get to this point. How many people lost their life, and who was the real hero in the story.
Yeah.
And again, like, I have dumbed this narrative down to the bare bones. The story is so much more than that. And like, there is so much, like, you know the girl that I mentioned, like the field agent that was snitching on the Russians. Yeah. She basically betrayed him. She stole like again, he had the blueprint of the Metal Gear on like some chip and stuff, and she stole it from him so that she could basically sell it. So basically she used her. So basically the only person that he trusted in, he had to kill the only person that trusted him in his entire life. And the only other person that Big Boss tried to gain a trust with betrayed him.
Yeah.
So like that's how he became who he became. And like if you play the Metal Gear series, there's so much more to this guy. So much more, so much lore, so much stuff. And like again, like that's what I'm getting at. You don't know the full story. You don't know how many people that hero lost trying to become the hero. What's his story behind it? He has to go through a lot of hardship. That's why he is a hero.
Exactly.
And again, like I would say anything fiction makes the lives of like real heroes very bland, let's just say. Because in a fictional story, after everything is done, the hero succeeds, it's a happy ending. But in real life, it's most likely not.
Yeah. That's true. That's true in almost every regard. I was reading The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. Okay, I'll just say the curse word. But anyways, you know the book.
Of course,
the
I know
Orange book. Mark Manson is the author. I read the book like 1.5 years ago, and it had the same story back in the World War II. After the World War II, there was a Japanese soldier. I think it was the third chapter. I don't even remember which chapter was it. It was somewhere in the middle of the book, specifically like the first half, where author Mark Manson talked about, the same hero stuff. How he kind of like went crazy for nationalism and, protecting Japan, let's say, that he was hiding somewhere in Vietnam and he just killed everybody, that he was in like this forest somewhere and he was hiding there for like 2 to 3 decades. Everybody, all of his teammates were just dead. He was there. What happened at last, they call him to Japan. Bunch of events, I won't go through it. It would just make the conversation unnecessarily long. But he gets a lot of medals. He becomes a hero back in the 80s. Everybody is going crazy about it. And he gets a lot of respect. He's on the TV shows everywhere, the normal, regular stuff once you get famous. But as years pass by, he's like really disappointed in himself. Because he was fighting for Japan and sort of like protecting the culture and the overall integrity. that was associated with Japan. But when he comes back after 3 decades, he notices that Japan itself is not like Japan anymore. The culture of Japan has sort of like westernized in some sense. So he's disappointed for the rest of his life. And even though people look at him as a hero, he's not really proud of himself in some sense. He's like, what the hell did I even do for the past 3 decades or so? You know what I'm saying?
Again, like, think about it. You devoted, like,
your entire life.
Yeah, technically entire life. 20 years of your youth is like pretty much your entire life. To such a serious cause.
Yeah.
And then you see everything you did was in vain.
Exactly.
Again, again, from your standpoint, everything was in vain. And now all you have left is people who respect you for something that you don't even respect yourself.
Exactly.
Like, people
That's the problem.
keep you on such a high pedestal for like something that you are disappointed in.
Exactly. That's the problem. And also another thing that I sort of like noticed in almost every video game, TV series and stuff, the Western media has played this crazy narrative that in every movie, Russians are involved and Russia is a bad party.
Yeah, it's either Russians.
It's almost like funny.
Again, like it's again, like if you're talking about like the modern era stuff, like the premier example that comes to my mind,
even the Marvel comic universe, the MCU, their whole war, just from the very first movie, Captain America: The First Avenger, who were they fighting against?
Germans.
You know the answer.
Yeah, exactly. They were fighting the Germans. Again, like even again, like that was. But that's what I was getting back. That was what I was getting back. If it's like historical period and stuff, not like super far, like the modern era stuff after the like it's the start of 1900s.
Yeah.
They are.
Then it makes
if it's a bad guy,
sense.
if it's a bad guy, it's most likely than not. No, not Russians. It's basically Germany, or the Germans, the bad guys.
Yeah.
And after like the Cold War and stuff, it's always the Russians.
Yeah. That's what I sort of like do not understand. Even
again,
like
I think they have kind of stereotyped it, I would say.
Yeah.
Especially again, like I would like to like again, like I take meme culture very seriously in that regards. Like, memes are a serious thing. Like, say whatever you will, like memes kind of portray what a current society as a collective is thinking about like a specific topic.
Yeah.
That's like a very good way of looking at memes, and basically that's the technical definition of memes. Again, if I would ask a random Zoomer or like a 12-year-old what memes are, he would say, haha, funny images with funny text meme equals meme.
Yeah.
That's like, again, the technical definition of a meme is things, again, like what you get from your parents is not just the genetic information. Everything that is passed on to you as a culture by your parents, by your peers, is technically considered a meme. Everything that's not passed on genetically to you by the far gone generation to you is a meme. That's the technical definition of a meme.
Yeah, that's a technical definition. I think I've read it somewhere. It was either in biology or where it was. I don't even remember where it was.
I don't think it's probably not biology. Like, again, like if
I have read this somewhere.
Again, like they taught us biology like till 10th class. If they mentioned memes in a biology class, everybody would have been laughing, and that was like that would have been amazing. And I would probably remember
where it was, but it was there for sure. I'm 100% sure about that.
Memes. I don't think so, man. Again, regardless, you can tell what like the collective society is thinking about a specific topic by seeing what memes are trending. You know the white Putin meme?
Oh.
Again, I'm pretty sure you know the memes about like Vladimir Putin and stuff. Like he's riding a bear, stuff like that.
I've seen a bunch of them.
all these memes popped up before Russia invaded Ukraine. Again, like I would say before the war, before like the Ukraine conquest of Russia, like the Russian conquest on Ukraine, people saw Vladimir Putin as like this badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, people saw Vladimir Putin as this badass, like he doesn't give a fuck about democracy. He's doing his own shit. He like he has like training in Krav Maga. He was the president of the KGB. He rides a bear. He has like 6-pack abs and stuff like that. And like people would make comparisons. Like look at Donald Trump. He cannot even walk walk a flight of stairs without getting tired. And this guy here is like fighting and like riding bears on his back and stuff like that. That was like what like the modern generation thought of Putin as, like this badass. Again, I'm not talking about an individual. If you probably asked an individual about what you think about Vladimir Putin, he would say he's like, I think he's sort of I'm talking about everything before the war. He would say again like he's like sort of a cool guy, but like he's technically a dictator and stuff like that. So again, individual opinion doesn't matter here, because the thinking of an individual is different from the thinking of like a mass of people. I think everybody knows it pretty well. Like
individual identity is very different.
Individual identity is very different. Like your individual thinking is very different from like what people in general think about it. And
for sure.
Yeah. So, but now if you look at now, and like I developed this habit, how I can look into like what people think about people is from, again, like I would say political commentary using like funny things and stuff like that is way older than memes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if you know about if you know about like caricatures and stuff like that, you would know exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
Again, I for anybody who doesn't know what a caricature is, it's have you like seen like newspapers and stuff when they do like a very comically large face on like a politician to like convey some sort of messages? Yeah, and again, like I was very deep into caricatures mostly because again, like it's gonna be a small tangent, very small tangent. There's something that used to happen in our school that was known as MUN, or basically a Model United Nations. Basically, everybody role played as like the United Nations. Every person there was either a delegate was representing a country as a delegate. Again, they didn't really represent it. It was like a model, a fake, a dummy play. And like it was very good for like if you want to like increase your debate skills or like public speaking skills. It was very, I think it was a very innovative idea, let's just say, and it was very interesting. Me specifically, I never partook in like the delegation stuff or like the representative stuff. Like I'm representing country. More often, I was always in like the IP, the international press, which basically represented the media. So our job in the MUN was to basically cover every news that's happening during the different sessions that happen. Again, like if you know anything about like the United Nations, you know there are a lot of committees. There's a United States Security Council. There is the General Assembly and stuff like that. So there are a lot of let's just say like assemblies happening a lot of time, everywhere all at once. So we had a lot of reporters, we had a lot of photographers. My specific job was to look over the caricature department, because again, like caricature department wasn't huge. I was only but I was the head, so like basically I had to monitor like who does the good stuff, who does the bad stuff, like is this stuff a little bit too offensive, or is this stuff a little bit too bland, stuff like that. And at the end of the day, we had to like make a proper printed out magazine or like a newspaper stuff, or like a proper articles like that we had to post on like our social media, or we have to like print it in like physical media to distribute among students and like our counselors, our teachers, our principals, stuff like that. So I was the head of the caricature department. And again, like people made fun of me. Oh, look, the cartoonist is here. Like the people, like again, like
I can understand that.
Again, like there's a in every assembly there's a spot delegated for like the people who do the reporters and stuff. So like the reporters would come, they would make their notes. I would just go in the corner, hear to their conversation for a bit, get the gist of it, see who is like the popping off party, or like who is popping off. And again, like if you're in the MUN and you get in any assembly, regardless, if it's like NATO alliance, if it's NATO versus Warsaw, if it's let's just say the the UN General Assembly, or like the Security Council, any assembly.
Yeah.
If you are playing a delegate of the US, you have a lot to debate about. Like
exactly,
considering like the General Assembly had like 200 people in a single room, so you don't get if you are not like a major country, you don't get to speak too often. Yeah, and almost every newcomer is delegated to the General Assembly, because most of the people don't know how to research and stuff like that. So, and like I would sit in a corner and say, people say, hey, look, the cartoonist is here and stuff like that. But again, like caricatures are very, very important in conveying. They were basically memes before memes.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say.
They were memes before memes, and they tell you a lot about what like people think about let's just say the current political sphere. Any social issue can be represented on a caricature, even if you can't make an article on it. Again, you can make an article on like any social issue and political issue, but it's gonna be long and people don't like reading. But if you encapsulate,
there's really like no comical part about writing an article. There's nothing
like
funny
it's not
about
entertaining. It's not funny. But if you take like a 4x3 space or like something like that, and you make a caricature that represents everything in like a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, like it plays a major role. And if you look at like what's Putin public, what is Vladimir Putin's public image today, people think him as like a mentally deranged psychopath who doesn't have like empathy and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. For sure.
So
anything else you want to talk about, or should we like end this episode?
I came into this episode thinking like it's gonna be a funny episode. Considering that the last episode that we did, the episode 9, was mostly about funny stuff that happened in our school, but and
it was
like
the most informal podcast that we have done so far. I was just going tangent to tangent. There was no plan.
Again, like it was so informal that it was so informal that I didn't want that to be like the staple of every episode. So that's why I think we today we kind of took a very serious route, and we discussed some serious topics and stuff like that.
Also, I was thinking that we can invite somebody over.
Yeah, again, like
talk about some common stuff.
If you're wondering, like we are gonna have some guests. Again, don't expect some high profile people to come here, or like any other social media influencers and like any content creator in general. Again, most likely than not, it's gonna be like our friends and stuff like that.
Friends, yeah. So
yeah,
I think
again, like we didn't even discuss any. Yeah, we didn't even discuss any. Let's just say any like current affair topics and stuff like that, like stuff that is happening.
There isn't really a lot of stuff happening except the Queen dying.
Yeah, again, like the Queen died. Yeah.
Anything except that you know of? I don't know even a single thing.
Again,
the Queen dying is like everywhere.
Yeah, like it was trending on Twitter like for like 2 days.
Yeah.
Again, like it's.
Have you seen that law that is passed in the UK, like the London Bridge something? I don't even know what that law is. Like, you know, I'm not sure about it. So if I'm wrong, anybody can correct me down in the comments. So basically, all the news channels in the UK have to show or broadcast the news of the Queen for the next 12 days. On the 9th day, I think there would be a public holiday for schools as well as offices. On the 11th day, everybody will mourn and stuff. And the 12th day, there will be the funeral of the Queen. Something like that. I mean, you can Google it up.
I think it's pretty customary for like if you're like royalty and stuff like that.
It's sort of like a custom, because she was a part of the monarchy, you can say.
No, she's basically like she is the Queen. She is like, I would say like
exactly. She was
in like current times. She is like she's the figurehead of monarchy everywhere in the world.
Exactly.
She's the most influential monarch. Again, like in the current time, she was.
Yeah,
the most influential
she has like the royal family has like the longest reigning monarch, you can sort of say. Like almost every monarchy that we had back in the day is demolished except theirs.
No, I
Like
think
what else is
again
there?
there are some there's someone like like there is a Japanese emperor. There is a Japanese emperor.
Yeah, but
again,
of
like
course,
again, like every monarch these days that's basically a king or queen is they're like a rubber stamp. Let's just say.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
they
they don't
have
hold a
powers
lot
of
of
themselves.
power. They don't hold a lot of
Yeah.
power. Again, like they may have a say in it, but you like again they are not a true they like the country most likely than not is not a true monarchy.
Exactly.
Again
Exactly.
they don't necessarily hold power, but they hold influence.
Yeah.
And again, like it's not that much, but like they are basically, let's just say, a brand.
Yeah.
Especially the royal family of the United Kingdom is technically a brand.
Especially considering the fact that they have a past where they ruled a major part of the world.
They were like, again, people like to argue like Genghis Khan was like he had the greatest landmass and stuff like that.
But that was long time ago. That was like 8 centuries ago. That was 12.
If you look at the maps, that were created by like English cartographers and stuff like that, because they marked every territory occupied by the English government. At their peak, they had like like a major chunk of Africa, especially like South Africa and stuff, Australia, India. They had influence over China.
Canada also was there.
Canada, North America. Again, not for long, but still they had. And like a lot of major small, like the British Isles and stuff like that. Like a lot of small major islands that again I don't know about necessarily. The Falkland Islands and stuff like that. There's like they occupied a lot of land, so they were like, I would say, like the most successful empire ever.
Technically,
technical standpoints.
Yeah, for sure.
And again,
so
like I don't think monarchy should necessarily be like again, it's good that monarchy is like dead in the water, not the people, the ideology. But I don't think like you should necessarily phase out like the royal family and stuff like that, because again they may be a rubber stamp, but they can become like a good representative of the country.
I'm not so sure about that, to be honest.
Again, like it could take a bad turns and stuff like that, but still.
Yeah, this is sort of like a long conversation. Let's sort of like keep it for another episode. I think this is on a good note.
Yeah,
I think we should end the podcast over
for
here.
anybody wondering why it took like a serious turn for like the good or worse, I don't know. That's on you. We thought like the previous episode was a bit too informal, so like we balanced it out as all things should be by like taking like a more serious approach. But I am again like, for anybody wondering that we made a promise about continuing the school stories episode. Anybody out there wondering what happened to the school story episode, don't worry, we are gonna most likely than not continue it in the next episode. But like we made like an internal decision to not like continue the story one after the other. Like we are gonna do it intermittently, because again, like we mentioned, we can make a lot of like episodes.
We can make a lot of episodes, but our podcast will sort of like lose its essence if we continue doing that.
Yeah. Like again, we can make episodes upon episodes, just like from like the 00 mark to like 1 hour 20 minutes or whatever like our length is, entirely like that entire duration for like I would say like 8 to 10 episodes, just talking about like our school stories and every shit that went down in our schools.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, we are gonna do it, but we are gonna doing intermittently. So
yeah.
If
there's anything that you want us to talk about, we can talk about it.
No, I think I think it's a very good point to end the podcast.
Yeah, so that's it. We'll catch you guys next week with episode 11 next Friday, same time. We've been doing this for like I think 7 weeks now without missing any upload at all.
It's kind of becoming second nature.
Yeah, it's kind of becoming second nature.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it for this episode. I hope you guys liked it. We'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching.